I am also jaded and cynical. If you haven't read this and you're a Taylor Swift fan, what are you doing? Add this to your book list now. I have some book recs for you guys, so let's do it. Oh my god, this is so many books. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Nina. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. And if you're not new, thanks for coming back. How's it going? So usually we're talking about music on my channel, but today we're talking about books. And I feel like music and books go hand in hand because they're both kind of storytelling methods. They're just stories told in different mediums. I think a lot of books inspire songs, and I think a lot of songs inspire books. So today I thought I would put together these two things that I love so much and give you guys book recommendations based on your favorite Taylor Swift songs. And of course, I'm just going to be recommending books that I've read. Feel free to comment down below throughout this video other books that I should read and other recommendations you have for other people. These are just going to be books that I read and that I really liked and that I could relate to my favorite Taylor Swift songs. I'm so excited for this video, you guys. I made a whole spreadsheet. I spent all morning. I pulled out all my books. They're all around me right now and tried to figure out which one goes to which Taylor Swift song, and I hope that you guys like them because these are some of my favorite books. So let's get into it. So when I was in high school, I read so many books. I just went through a whole reading era where I just read a ton of books every year, and I just really loved your classic romance novels. The people who like Taylor Swift's music and the people who read romance novels often fall into the same category. Romantic fiction, realistic fiction, whatever you want to call it. I used to refer to it as chick lit or girly fiction. Just like your classic little love stories that are light and fluffy, and most of these are just really easy reads. Gives you that little hopeless romantic fix. And I think all these books are for the hopeless romantics that just wanted to get lost in a fictional world where the fictional boys were much better than reality. And still are, most of the time. But when I was in high school, I loved that stuff. And so I would say the age range of all of these books is anywhere from like high school, and then some of them are a little bit more mature. So of course, like the first couple albums are going to be more high school, more naive, just that more innocent type of book and story. And then when we get into the later albums, we get into some books that have a little bit more complex of a plot. So along with each song and book and author, I'm also just going to give a range of what age it's recommended for, because I know my audience is, anywhere from teenagers to young adults. So we have something for everybody here. But I just wanted to do this video because I feel like if you watch all my videos and you relate to a lot of my videos, then you are also going to relate to this one. We can just like discuss in the comments and talk about these books and these songs, and I would love for you guys to give me recommendations as well. So we're going to be starting with a song from Taylor Swift's debut album called Mary's Song. And this is a song that's not super popular, but it's like so nostalgic, and it's one of my favorite songs from her first album. Just by the first line of the song, it kind of paints a picture for what the song is about, and it goes, "I was 7 and you were 9. I looked at you like the stars that shined in the sky." So we're talking like childhood best friends, growing up, falling in love, swinging in the treehouse vibes. I actually have two books for this song. Okay, so this is one of my favorite books of all time, and it was also turned into a movie, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and that would be Flipped. I love this book so much. It's a book that's told in two different perspectives, and I love when the author tells two sides of the story and you get to know both sides, but the two main characters don't know what's going on in each other's heads. I love being that kind of third person. But this book is essentially about two kids, a girl and a boy. The girl moves into the neighborhood when they're about 8 years old, and she immediately has love at first sight for this boy, and like for years and years she's always had this secret crush on this boy, and he does not like her at all. And then as they get older, it's very coming of age. Things get to switch up, and it's called Flipped for a reason. So I'm gonna let you guys figure out what comes next after that. But things get flipped upside down. But yes, definitely gives me like childhood, like running around the cul-de-sac vibes. The second book I have for this song is very similar to this one, where there's these two kids that grow up, their families are friends, friends. It's called Better Off Friends. It starts out as that they're best friends at first sight, and it's kind of like that classic trope of like people keep missing each other. It's not the right timing. He gets a girlfriend and then she gets a boyfriend, and then they need to save their friendship so they won't ever want to like date each other because it'll ruin the friendship. And it's just like everything that comes, and it's like over the period of quite a few years of them just growing up. It's like the classic like girl and boy best friends that spend a lot of time together, so everyone thinks they're dating but they're not dating, but they can't date anyone else because they're closer to each other. It's just like I love this book so much. So anyways, these are my two little coming of age, childhood, love type of books. Love them so much. I would definitely say they're like high school, but it is just like an easy read, even if you're like older than that. Just a really cute story. I really should have organized these before I started the video. Okay, we're moving on to Fearless, and Fearless is very much like first love type of vibes, and also very like storybook, Romeo and Juliet. And so the first song is going to be Love Story, and the book that I think relates to love story is this one, if it was like the opposite situation of Romeo and Juliet, essentially. So this is called Magnolia. So the story goes, there's these two southern families that have just always grown up together. For generations, these families have been friends. So this is the opposite of Romeo and Juliet, where they don't want them to get married. Eventually, there's a girl and a boy that are born that are the same age. The perfect opportunity for the families to, you know, become one family. But the catch is that they hate each other. They do not want to be together at all. They have no intention of following what their parents want and seeing if they could have a relationship. Their families want them to get married. They don't want to get married, and all of the things that go along with that. And this book, I will say, had me just like frustrated in the best way. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's called Magnolia. And then we have the song The Way I Loved You. This is for all my girlies who love very passionately and deeply and can't just have like a very mundane relationship that's borderline toxic at times, but in the end it's like a very like, oh, these people were always meant to be type of story. The first series I have for this is The Summer I Turned Pretty. And if you haven't known this, Taylor Swift's song The Way I Loved You is featured in this series, and I couldn't think of a better song to kind of go with that series, and especially the episode that it's in. So good. It just explains how there's like a love triangle, you know, like there's the girl and then there's the really nice boy that it does everything right, but there's no spark. And then there's this guy who's a little problematic, rough around the edges, has some baggage, there's some mixed feelings going on, but like the chemistry is there. That's not something that you can learn to have. You just have it, and it's just they're the one. Anyways, if you connect with that song, this would be a good one for you. And the good thing is, only season 1 is on Amazon for the TV show, so you can get ahead and read the other 2 books and know what's gonna happen in the end of the series. I will say, with each book, it becomes more mature in the subject matter. The characters get older as you go on. Also, I finished all 3 of them in less than 4 days. Very easy read, very good read. Of course, it's like your summer romance thing, but it has a little bit more different elements to it that make it just not about the romance. It's about friendship and family and a lot of other things. Okay, the next song is Fearless, and Fearless to me is a very spontaneous song. You're dancing in the rain in your best dress. You are just like having one of the best nights ever because it just wasn't planned, and those are like the best moments. And I feel like that feeling you get when you read this book. And this is called Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson, and I really like this author. I just like the way she tells stories. And this is about a girl whose father dies in a car crash, and she is in the car. So she has like post-traumatic stress from driving, and so she can't drive. And her mom moves across the country, needs her to drive the car to her, and so she can't drive. So they get the family friend neighbor to drive her across the country, and that would be Roger. The mom planned out their whole trip, so they'd stop here, 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 but it's a very boring route. And Roger decides they're going to take a detour and asks her what is like some of the main things she's ever wanted to see, and they go on this adventure together. And I think that is very fearless vibes. So going along with this book, I have another one by Morgan Matson that is similar, Since You've Been Gone. This book is about 2 best friends, and one of of them goes missing and leaves the other friend a list of things to do. And this list is full of like things that the main character girl would never do. They push her way out of her comfort zone. It really pushes her to just live life, kind of like a bucket list in a way. And so this one is also giving me fearless vibes, just like stepping out of your box, being spontaneous. And once she finishes the list, it like, you know, will this lead her back to her best friend that disappeared? So this is another one, like live your life to the fullest. So that's gonna be it for Fearless. Moving on to Speak Now. I could give you guys a million books based on Speak Now because I feel like this album is so fairy tale, so hopeless romantic-y. Okay, the next song is the song Speak Now, giving all the wedding vibes. And this one is the first one that came to mind, and it's called Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. And I'll tell you, I've read almost every Sarah Dessen book. I think I've actually read all of them. She is like the queen of romance books, and some people might think her books are a little cheesy and predictable, but honestly, like, I love it every time. It's just one of those authors and one of those styles of writing that I really enjoy, and I like that all of her books are connected within the same world, so there's different characters showing up in all of her different books. But I actually really liked this one. This is one of my favorite ones from her, and it's about this girl who is a wedding planner's daughter. So she's always been around weddings and love. She's also seen the bad side of weddings, like all of the bridezillas, and she's just become very cynical about love because she's seen it not work out a lot of times. But then this boy enters the picture and they have to do like a fake wedding photo shoot, and just, you know what goes on from there. But I really like this one because I am also jaded and cynical. But it definitely gives off the Speak Now era and breaking up wedding kind of vibes and all that good stuff. Now, I could have chosen so many books for Enchanted. Enchanted is a very important song to me, so I wanted to do it justice. And so I am crowning Enchanted with my favorite series trilogy of all time, and that is the Selection series. If you haven't read this and you're a Taylor Swift fan, what are you doing? You'll love this. Every single person I've told to read this loves it. Even my friends who don't like reading love these books. I'm gonna tell you, I've gotten so many people to read these books, and every single person really enjoyed them. This series is a little bit dystopian. It's not exactly your classic romance novel. It has a little bit of a dystopian element to it, but it's not like too sci-fi. This takes place in post-modern America. America has become a monarchy. There's different provinces, and there's the royalty, and there's a caste system, and essentially when the prince becomes of age at 18, they invite 35 girls selected to come to the palace and date him, kind of like The Bachelor. It's the story of this girl. Her name is America. The main girl is named America, and she is kind of poor, a struggling musician, and so she applies to go to the palace because she knows she'll get money if she goes. So she's not in it to marry the prince, she just wants money because she's got a hometown boy that she wants to marry back home. She's just going for the money. And of course, things get complicated because there's 3 books. But I absolutely love this series so much. It is like such a push and pull series, and like this is one that had me up all night screaming in my closet, just like having to put it, just emotional roller coaster, this series. And so I think Enchanted fits with it because I think of Enchanted like very like fairy tale, princess, love at first sight type of thing. The prince is just taken with America and she doesn't even want to be there, and they have so many enchanted moments throughout the whole thing. And like every time I think Enchanted, I think of how Taylor Swift described it as a song she wrote after experiencing one glance across the room. And I think Maxon and America have so many of those moments, and especially the bridge, like please don't be in love with someone else, please don't have somebody waiting on you, like could not fit better with this series. Anyways, add this to your book list now. Okay, last song from Speak Now. There's just so many good ones. The Story of Us, this book, Words in Deep Blue. So this girl worked in a bookshop. Before she moved away, she put a love letter to her co-worker that she had a crush on forever in his favorite book in the bookshop. Moved away, never heard from him again. And now, years later, she moves back and works at the bookshop again. They have this unspoken, like she doesn't want to be there. He never answered her. He never followed her. So obviously he doesn't like her back. And then soon soon they end up leaving notes to each other in different books in the store when they work there. The main character is going through a really tough time. She lost her brother. The boy is also going through a tough time. So like through these little like notes in between the pages, they bond and heal. If you love books and you love poetry and writing and reading, this is for you, because I just thought the story of us worked so well, because this just makes me think of the music video where she's in the library just like, you know, freaking out, and of course like all of the different references to storybooks in that song goes really well with this book. I just have books all over my floor. Okay, the next song I'm talking about is Out of the Woods. And this song gives a lot of imagery of nature and also just has this huge parallel between a relationship and not being able to get out of the woods, you know, being lost. I don't want to go too literal with this one, but the book that came to mind for me was called The Other Side of Lost, and I don't have it right now because I'm lending it to a friend. I absolutely love this story so much because it's not just your average love story. Like the bigger story is about family and friendship and also like relationship to self. And the main character girl is an influencer essentially, and she gets way caught up in social media. She has a cousin that was born on the same day as her, and they used to grow up so close, celebrate every single birthday together. And then eventually once she got on social media, she totally like forgot about her cousin and they grew apart. Well, when they turn 18, the cousin passes away suddenly. They had always planned since they were kids to hike the John Muir Trail together, and that's like a 3-week hiking trip through the high Sierras in California. So what she does is she takes all of her cousin's stuff and she hikes the trail in her honor, and so it kind of takes her away from social media. So it's kind of like reconnecting with yourself through being outdoors. Along the way she meets a lot of friends on the trail, and I think, you know, as the song Out of the Woods is like a journey, this book is definitely a journey to get out of the woods. So if you're a nature gal, I would highly recommend that one. There's so many books I want to recommend, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys, so I'm not going to go through every single Taylor Swift album, pick out a song. I'm just going to like do the best that I can here. So the next song we're talking about is August. Of course, I feel like August is like a storybook in itself. Like that trilogy, Betty, August, and Cardigan are like a little storybook itself, and so I was trying to find books that kind of go with that little trilogy. And so for the trilogy, I have 3 books, and I wouldn't say they necessarily connect each with every single character, but they all give you that same feeling of like a summer romance that I see happening in the song August. The first one, the first one is called Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson, again, an author that I really like. The main character's dad is diagnosed with terminal cancer, and so for their last summer together, they go out to this lake house that they used to go out to all the time, but they haven't been in a long time. She's all grown up now, and now she has to face one of her ex-best friends that live at the lake, and also childhood boy that lives at the lake, and there's like a little triangle going on. This one is like a classic lake house summer, fireworks and fireflies, with like a bigger picture of reconnecting with family and friends from your past and like moving through it now that you're older. The next book I have is one of my favorite Sarah Dessen books ever, called Along for the Ride, and Netflix actually put out a movie adaptation of this, but if you want to enjoy this book, I would not watch that at all. It was actually so bad. I didn't like it, and this is like one of my favorite books ever, so I don't recommend watching the movie, but I do recommend reading the book. This is about a girl that goes away to live with her stepdad for the summer, kind of reconnect with him. She's about to go to college, so she's like worried about, you know, getting ahead and studying, and she's a very studious girl. She thinks spending time at the beach is a waste of time, but then she, as someone who has insomnia, likes to go to the cafe at night and just like wander around at night. There's also a boy that lives in the town that is also nocturnal, and they have all these kind of like nightly adventures, and so that kind of reminded me of August, kind of like Meet Me Behind the Mall vibes, clandestine meetings, and their relationship goes on at night, not necessarily in the daytime. They connect with each other on a different level, and how eventually they can step into the light. Oh my gosh, how cliche was that? And yet again, another book from Sarah Dessen. If you're like a hopeless romantic and like cheesy romance novels, she's got so many books that you guys would like. But this was like, I think her most recent book that I've read, and it's called The Rest of the Story. And again, it's like a summer lake house romance book. The main character's mom dies, and all of her side of the family has this lake house, and so she is now with her dad. They don't go visit anymore, except for when her dad gets remarried, he sends her there for the summer to be with her mom's side of the family, who she hasn't seen in a long time. So again, she's reconnecting with old childhood friends, childhood crushes, all of that. So these are all just your like summer reads. I love them so much. It's just like an easy, light read. I'd say Sarah Dessen like is a little bit more mature than some of these other romance ones, but still like I would say like late high school, like 17 and up, you could probably relate the best if you're older. Okay, I got a couple more here, and we're getting into the more, like a little bit more mature books here. So the next book I have, I would say, is for young adults, like either in college or beyond. But this book relates to champagne problems, and this is In 5 Years. This book is a lot more complex in the plot of the story than some of these other like easy reads and easy romance books. It begins with the main character getting engaged to her longtime boyfriend. It just seems like she's very content with her life. After a series of different events, she starts to question everything. There's a night where she wakes up 5 years in the future. She has some kind of like vision that she's in the future and she's with a different man 5 years in the future. And so her being back in the present, she's trying to figure out if that was a dream, if that was a premonition. And so it really like messes up the track of her life with her new fiance, just opens up her eyes to a lot more possibilities in her life. And I feel like that's Champagne Problems because the main narrator of that song is very unsure about her life and is unable to go through with the wedding, and she has champagne problems. There's a lot she needs to figure out in her mind before she gets married. So I think this one kind of relates to that more, and it's a much more mature like subject matter. Okay, the last book I'm gonna talk about is one that popped off on Book Talk. It went viral on TikTok, and I've seen so many people read it. And I will say it's not my favorite book ever, but I think it had a lot of important themes in it. And the song this relates to is Better Man, or I will say like The Last Time from Red, a situation where it could be great, but it just isn't going to be because this man is not going to change, and so you just have to call it quits. So this is a book by Colleen Hoover called It Ends With Us, and it is a lot more mature. I think it's 18 plus. I wouldn't recommend people in high school read it. It deals with domestic abuse, just like more adult topics, but I did really like the parallel of part of the book being her reading her journal from when she was in high school, and then part of it being her as an adult going through this adult relationship and getting engaged and married to this guy, but it's just not going the way that it should go. There's a lot more layers and elements to that book, but I think it had a really important message, a pretty good plot twist towards the end. But yeah, we went through a lot of books in this video, and I think going through all of these books, I'm realizing I should go back to reading and read a lot more than I should because I really enjoy it, and reading books can be very inspiring as someone who is a songwriter and a writer in general. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave down below in the comments any other book recommendations you have for everybody else to see, for me to see. I'm really looking to add to my reading list this year. I'm currently reading Where the Crawdads Sing because Taylor Swift wrote a song for that movie, so I'm excited to finish that book. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 to this. I have so many other books just all around my floor that I couldn't get to, but yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. I think listening to Taylor Swift's music and I think I was drawn to this genre. Now to reorganize, put these all back where they came from.